Okay, so today we're going to be graphing functions, which is something that we've pretty much already done before. We're just kind of throwing it all together in one big lesson. So here's your first problem. You can pause this and glue that in if you have the notes. If you don't have the notes, you can write this whole thing down, but honestly, I at least want you to write this part down, and then that's it. Just write down the equation because that's way too much to write down. Okay, here we go. The school store sells book covers for $2 each and notebooks for $1. Tony has $5 to spend. The function y equals 5 minus 2x represents the number of book covers x and notebooks y she can buy. Graph the function, interpret the points graphed. So to graph this function, we have to have an xy table. Unless you remember how to graph with slope-intercept form, that would be your y-intercept. So you'd start here. Your slope is -2, so you go down 2 over 1, and that would make your line. But for today, we're going to use an xy chart, just so you guys get familiar with that. We have to figure out what x and y are, so we can put numbers down that actually make sense. So what is x? If you read through this thing, the number of book covers x. So this is book covers. And y is notebooks. So if you remember on Friday or whenever you did the last lesson, it was -1, 0, 1, 2 always. The reason we're not going to do that necessarily today is because -1, I can't buy -1 book covers. That makes no sense. So we can start with 0, and then we can work our way up. So let's do 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so this is our equation. If x is 0, the only thing I have left is 5. Next one, if x is 1, -2 times 1 is -2. So really that's just 5 minus 2, which is 3. If x is 2, 2 times 2 is 4. So now it's 5 minus 4, which is 1. If x is 3, 2 times 3 is 6. So it's 5 minus 6. 6 is bigger and it's negative, so this will give me a -1. Can she have -1 notebooks? No. So that one does not make sense. So these are our only 3 points that we are going to graph. So if you go to this graph, we're going to go up 5, top here, and then 1, 3 would be here, and 2, 1. Okay, and our line only goes there because we've already talked about how we can't have negatives. We could label this book covers. We could label this notebooks. And then we have to interpret the points graph. So we're just going to pick one of these to interpret. Let's do this one. What does this point mean? Well, it means she can buy 2 book covers and 1 notebook with, she has $5 to spend, so with her $5. Okay, and that's you interpreting a point. Okay, let's do example 2. So pause this, give yourself time to get all the notes down. This is the part that I want you to for sure write down for if you don't have the paper. Okay, we got X and Y. Okay, the farmer's market sells apples for $2 per pound and oranges for $1 per pound. Marjorie has $10 to spend. The function y equals 10 minus 2x represents the number of apples x and oranges y Marjorie can purchase. Graph the function and interpret the points graphed. So once again, I don't want to start out with -1 because x is the apples, y is the oranges. It doesn't make sense to have -1 apples, so I'm just going to do 0, 1. Actually, I put the wrong graph in here. Oh my goodness. This is my graph on this page, so just deal with this. So let's do 2, 4, and 6 since that's what my graph is showing me. Oh boy. Okay. cover that up, do something with that so you don't see that. So if she has 0 apples, so that zeroes that whole thing out, she can buy 10 oranges. 2 apples, so that would be 2 times 2, which is 4. So 10 minus 4 would give me 6. 2 times 4, which is 8, so 10 minus 8 would be 2. And then if I plug that 6 in, I get 12. 10 minus 12 would give me a -2, so that's too far. That doesn't make sense. So these are my only 3 points, 0, 10, 2, 6, and 4, 2. I'm going to go graph it on the correct graph. So 0, 10, 2, 6, 4, 2. X's were the apples. Y's were the oranges. Make sure you label, because on your homework you're going to have to label as well. And then interpret a point. So let's just pick 2, 4. She can buy 2 oranges and 4 apples with her $10. Okay. Okay, example 3. This one you don't really have to write anything down because we're going to write down our own equation. So a library charges a late fee of $3.50 plus 0.15 per day that a book is returned late. Write your own equation for this situation, graph the function, interpret the points graphed. So my equation always starts out with y equals. You look at these two numbers. One of them is going to have an x with them. Which one is changing per day? The 0.15. So I'm going to start out with that one. And then I'm adding on a charge of $3.50. So we got x and y. I'm just going to tell you on this one, I want you to use 10, 15, 20, and 25. I just got to cover this up. This is driving me insane. I'm going to cover it up with my calculator. Okay, so if you have a calculator, now is definitely the time to pull it out because I don't want to do this in my head. So I'm going to put 0.15 times 10 and then plus 350. That would give me 5. If you have a calculator like mine, all you have to do is go back through and change the 10 to a 15. 575. Now I'm going to go through. I can go up and it brings it back up. Change it to a 20. 650. And then 725. Okay, so now we're going to go graph this on the correct graph. Hopefully you probably messed yours up since I messed mine up, but I'm going to have to go flip-flop back and forth. Okay, so the X was my 10, 15, 20, 25. What are these standing for? You look better. That's a problem. They're changing. They're my X. It's the days. Okay, so then the Y would be the fee. I'm going to write that in here. Days late. And then this is my fee. Okay, so at 10 days late, I owed $5. 15 days late, I think it was $5.75. 20 days late, it was $6.50. At 25 days late, it was $7.25. So there's my chart for that. Pick one point to interpret. We'll just do the 10 and 5. So after returning a book, $10 days late, she owes $5. Okay, so that is your homework. Let me get the worksheet here. I'm going to give you some hints on this. Okay, this one, you're just writing the function, so don't forget to put y equals there and write your equation. Everyone always gets confused. This is why. This is just a sideways table from our up and down tables. Don't forget to graph. You don't have to do anything with this graph, but put the points on there and then interpret a point. Number 2 is a little bit more complicated because I do have to make an XY chart. So number 2, I'm going to tell you your XY chart is going to be 0, 4, 8, and 12. Okay, don't forget to label your graph and then interpret a point as well. This one down here, your XY chart, it's a little bit longer. You're going to have 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. And then instead of interpreting a point, you're going to fill in the blanks here. Your answer will come from this chart, but it also comes from the goal that they want that's in the problem here. Don't forget to label your graph as you graph it because you get points for that. All right, email me if you have any questions.